Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers report, the Niners have gotten some bad news with the regular season only 11 days away. And look, I like to think of myself as a positive guy, and we talk about a lot of positive Niners developments on this show, but it's not the reality of the world. Sometimes negative things do transpire, and it's going to impact this football team. So it's important for us to talk about that right here on the Niners Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., but let's get the positivity going, because despite the drama, Niners football is almost back. If that gets you excited, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Niners Jets, Monday Night Football, 11 days, as I mentioned, away from that game getting underway. And we'll be doing a watch party for it right here on the channel. So the installment of bad news, it begins with Aiyuk Guerendo, the fourth-round pick on Monday during practice after he had that 93-yard elusive, explosive kickoff return against the Las Vegas Raiders in the preseason finale, tweaked his groin. So he is injured again. And there is a problematic path here and history for Guerendo, who the Niners traded up to take in the fourth round. And San Francisco has some question marks at that running back position because of injuries. Guerendo has dealt with multiple hamstring issues during college. We'll take a look at his injury history coming up here in just a moment. He hurt his hamstring again on the first day of training camp as a professional, and now he injures his groin. Let's hope that with Guerendo, these injuries are not reoccurring, because he can really play. He is San Francisco's best option at kick returner, and as a running back, as an athlete, he has a rare combination of size, power, speed, athleticism. It's really, truly elite, the athletic qualities that he has. And when I was in Indianapolis at the NFL Scouting Combine back in March, I took some time to go to Lucas Oil Stadium. That's where the Indianapolis Colts play, and that's where these drills take place. And I watched the running backs do their workouts, and to see Guerendo, who checked in at 6 feet tall, 221 pounds, run a 4.33 40-yard dash was incredible to witness in person. And these relative athletic score grades from MathBomb, very popular in the pre-draft process. They grade these prospects on an athletic scale of 0 to 10. 0 being awful, 10, you're almost not human. And Guerendo scored a 9.98, nearly perfect, on top of the speed with the size. Vertical leaping ability of 41.5 inches, good broad jump. I mean, there isn't any yellow or red colors on here. It is all green. And if he can pan out, if he can stay healthy, I firmly believe that he can be a really good player in this league, because what I saw against the Raiders, talent running the football, vision, one-cut runner, perfect for Kyle Shanahan's system, has balance. He leveled some defenders up, and that 93-yard kickoff return was no joke at all. And it's been an interesting path for him. He only started one game in his college career between Wisconsin and Louisville, and that came in Louisville's bowl game this past year. But the injury history, let's go back to that, because this is something we're going to continue to monitor here. Can they figure out these soft tissue injuries? If they can, he can be an impactful player in the NFL because of the special traits that he possesses. But in 2019, he missed 8 games because of a hamstring injury. The following year, missed 6 games because of a hamstring injury. In 2021, he missed 9 games because of a foot injury. The good news is, last couple of years in college, especially when he transferred to Louisville, he was able to escape those injuries and those concerns. But in 2024, so far, we've seen a hamstring and we've seen a groin. Kyle Shanahan saying yesterday that he hopes that Guerendo can return to practice, and he said that after he was asked about whether or not Guerendo could be this team's starting kick returner week 1 against the New York Jets. The Niners truly have an opportunity to put a special weapon back there in Guerendo who can flip the field. He could provide dynamic plays, and that's what I like about this new kickoff return. I'm tired of seeing kickers just boot the ball out of the back of the end zone. I don't need to see your leg strength on a kickoff. On a field goal, it's awesome. The 66-yarder that we saw from Brandon Aubrey, the Cowboys kicker in the preseason, incredible. For a kickoff return, I want to see dynamic players with the ball in their hands, and that's exactly what we see with this new kickoff rule, and hopefully we see Guerendo as part of that new rule. Sticking with the running back position, I had mentioned Niners a little bit banged up there. Christian McCaffrey coming off the calf, you have Guerendo, and then you have Elijah Mitchell out for the year, and Patrick Taylor coming off a preseason in which he was injured a lot. For Mitchell, he just has awful injury luck. Maybe he's just brittle. And this is why I had him on my cut candidates video multiple times, because he simply can't stay healthy and you can't make the club from the tub. He was placed on season-ending IR, also with a hamstring injury. He had suffered a hamstring injury back a few weeks ago during training camp. He tried to return, got back to practice on Monday. It got worse. He re-aggravated it. So then his doctor recommended surgery. So now Elijah Mitchell out for the season. Kyle Shanahan really likes him as a player. And look, he was a former 6th-round pick. The hit rate for 6th-rounders is like 10%. You can't call Elijah Mitchell a bust, but it has been disappointing that he hasn't been able to stay healthy, because as a rookie in 2021, it looked as though he was going to be a really good player in this league, just simply hasn't been able to stay on the field. Some more positivity as far as injury news for San Francisco. Aaron Banks, who had to undergo pinky surgery, could return next week to practice. Nick Zakelj has been filling in at left guard. He has been downright terrible. As Charles Barkley would say, man, he is terrible. Just getting bulldozed at left guard. I'm surprised that Nick Zakelj even made the squad. I think he only did because he has positional versatility. He can play left guard. He can play center. But I just don't see it with him. So getting Aaron Banks back is huge. And then Talanoa Hufanga, the Niners put out a video on their social media pages yesterday of him doing some high knees as he continues to try and work his way back from that knee injury. He wasn't placed on short-term IR. He wasn't placed on PUP. So San Francisco is hoping to get him back within the first 4 weeks of the season. He's getting eased in right now, and that's a great sign for this Niners defense. A lot more to get to here on the show, but before we continue, be sure to hit that subscribe button for daily shows and updates on the Niners. We are approaching 138,000 subscribers, and it's pretty wild. There is not a channel on all of YouTube that covers the Niners every single day that's as big as us here on the Niners Report. So join the faithful family here at Chat Sports and hit that subscribe button. Latest on Brandon Aiyuk, and then we'll get to Trent Williams here. The expectation was that Aiyuk would practice yesterday. He skipped. The Niners are on the practice field right now. He is not practicing. So he has skipped back-to-back days of practice. This is significant. This is notable because on the Niners' initial 53-man roster, Brandon Aiyuk was on it. So he is occupying currently a valuable spot on the team. An example of that, if he wasn't on the 53-man roster, San Francisco could have kept another player, like maybe Jarrett Kingston, who they had to let go, although I thought San Francisco really botched the IR stints for both Ambry Thomas and John Feliciano. It's weird how they didn't put them on an injury list with an injury designation, yet they let Kingston go when they could have just done that. But that's the thought process here, is that Aiyuk is occupying a spot on the 53-man roster, and as the Niners start their game preparations for the New York Jets, which started on Wednesday, Aiyuk nowhere to be found. And he had complained about some neck and back injuries to start camp. So in addition to him being a hold-in, he was also quote-unquote hurt, but he has been medically cleared. And that's why the expectation from Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch yesterday was that he was going to be on the practice field. Not partaking in team drills, but Shanahan said catching some footballs from our quarterbacks, running some routes, easing him in a little bit. And now the Niners have the right to fine him. When John Lynch was asked about that, he said, "We will address that if it happens." Well, it happened. And back-to-back days, Aiyuk has not reported to practice, and now the Niners have a decision to make. Do you fine Brandon Aiyuk and let him know that you're not messing around because he's let your organization know that he's not messing around? And I know that some people will compare this to the Nick Bosa dilemma, saga, situation from last year. You always had a feeling that Nick Bosa was going to get signed by the San Francisco 49ers, right? You knew that they were going to continue their partnership. They weren't going to move off of Bosa. There were no legitimate trade talks like there have been between the Niners, Aiyuk, Patriots, Browns. And what's crazy is that the Niners have had trade offers for Aiyuk. They could have gotten picks back and Amari Cooper for Aiyuk, and the Browns would have paid him more money than the San Francisco 49ers. Aiyuk said no. The New England Patriots were willing to make him one of the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. Aiyuk said, I'm not going there. I'm not signing that contract extension either because I don't want to play for New England like I don't want to play for the Browns. Brother, what are your options, man? I mean, you either have to come back to the San Francisco 49ers, or if the Niners work out a trade, accept that trade if you don't want to come back to the Niners. What is the holdup here with 11 days to go until the season opener? So that's how those situations kind of differ. Bosa didn't sign that extension until September 6th, the Wednesday before the season opener, and he was able to play week 1. I just don't see how Aiyuk is able to play week 1, even if him and the Niners come to an agreement on a deal. The wide receiver position is just so much different. You're running so much more. You're using those fast twitch muscles in and out of your cuts to run those routes. Nick Bosa just has to pin his ears back and get after the quarterback, but there's timing. There's the scheme. There's plays developing. There's blocking. All of those things have to come into play when you think about Aiyuk playing week 1. So the situations are different for a multitude of reasons, and John Lynch yesterday seemed a little bit frustrated and a little bit fed up. Here's what he said about the Aiyuk ordeal. I don't know that I saw the standoff with Brandon. I saw a situation that we are going to have to deal with, and man, we've been trying for a long time. We don't get paid to try. We get paid to do. And I'll take accountability for anything that hasn't happened, but I won't stop continuing to fight to find the best resolution, whatever that may be. There was also a charity event, I believe, after Niners practice yesterday, and he said there's been all this chatter about the players who aren't with us. I'm focusing on the players that we do have, and with those players that we do have, we are going to have a special season. I hope he's right, because right now the vibes are weird. Lynch also adding yesterday, at some point, you have to play. That was kind of a direct message to Aiyuk and his camp. Coming up next here on the show, we also have a Trent Williams update and a look at some fascinating numbers that point to his impact and how he helps out Brock Purdy. Stay tuned for that here in just a moment, but first, our San Francisco shirts available and on sale right now at chatsports.com/SF. A great conversation starter. You wear this out in public at a bar, restaurant, a workout, and somebody's like, San Francisco 49ers Report, Chat Sports, Chase Sr., right? Yeah, approaching 140,000 subscribers. Plus, go Niners, bang, bang, Niner gang, Niner Empire, the Niner faithful. Let's effing go. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video here. So as for the Trent Williams update, Rich Rebar of Sharp Football Analysis putting out some really interesting numbers that we're about to touch on here. Here's what Kyle Shanahan had to say about the Trent Williams contract situation. It just seems so much different than the Aiyuk dilemma. Quote, I'm optimistic that things will work out with Trent. I'm not sure what day it'll be. We're getting close to playing a game. My mind is completely on preparing for a game without those guys. I feel when two sides want to get a deal done, it usually happens. Shanahan said that last week, and yesterday you seemed a little bit more optimistic as well. And you compare that to what's going on and transpiring with Aiyuk. It's a much different tone. It's a much different temperature. And look, an offensive tackle, a left tackle, much more important than a wide receiver. But the Niners are firmly entrenched in this Super Bowl window. I think you got to find a way to get both of these deals done, because right now you're getting ready for a New York Jets team without a perennial all-pro left tackle and an all-pro wide receiver. Let's talk more about Trent Williams here right now on the show. Trent Williams is one of one, and the San Francisco 49ers absolutely need him if they still have hopes of winning a Super Bowl this year. Even at 36 years old, he's a dominant force in the run and pass game, And the 49ers just aren't Super Bowl contenders with him not on this roster. And for those who were saying that he's a declining player, he has given up just 1 sack in his last 983 pass blocking snaps. That's dominance. That's consistency. And his Pro Football Focus numbers as a Niner from 2020 through 2023, straight up elite. 91.9 in 2020, 97.8 after that. It's one of the highest grades that you'll ever see. 93 and 89.9 last year. So even as he's getting a little bit older, he is still playing at an incredible level. And he has a direct impact on the performance of quarterback Brock Purdy. Here are Purdy's numbers without Trent Williams last year on 89 dropbacks. Pressure rate, 44.9%. Sack rate, 6.1%. Interception rate, 5.2%. Touchdown rate, 2.6%. Purdy with Trent Williams protecting his blind side. Pressure rate goes down to 39.8%. Sack rate, 5.4%. Interception rate plummets to 1.7%. And his touchdown rate goes up to 6.7%. Did I mention that the San Francisco 49ers need Trent Williams? Because without him, this might be one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League. The Niners tweeted this photo out the other day upon completing their initial 53-man roster. Aaron Banks, John Feliciano, Nick Sakel, Jake Brendel, Colton McKivitz, Spencer Burford, Jalen Moore, and Dominic Pooney. Dominic Pooney looks to be a star in the making. Aaron Banks is a serviceable left guard. Other than that, you have question marks along that offensive line, and without Trent Williams, that unit, it looks rough. Give us a real one if you're still hanging out with us here on the Niners Report, and shout out to all of the faithful subscribers who always tune into the show. Really appreciate you.